Welcome back to our second hour of World Crisis Radio. And, of course, in this past week, there's been news on the Obama birth certificate front. And as I understand it, a federal judge has thrown out a suit brought by the bungling Orly Taitz and has given her a warning about filing more suits of this sort. I think this bears more on the ineptitude and bungling capacity of Orly Taitz than it does on the merits. But to get a legal evaluation of this, let's go right to the source. Let's go to the founder of this entire movement, the alpha birther, as he's been called in the Philadelphia press, and that would be Phil Berg of Philadelphia, who's now shepherding 3 Obama birth certificate cases through the federal courts. Phil, welcome.
Welcome. My pleasure to be on your show. And as I've stated, this is now, I guess, my 14th month pursuing this. And as you know, through our website, obamacrimes.com, OBAMACRIMES.com, we have stayed straight and narrow. We're looking for the truth. We're hopefully going to do it through the court system. If not, we're trying to get the public with us on this. Unfortunately, you know, I hate to speak about another attorney, but you just brought the topic up, and the judge in this case just dismissed the case that was brought by Orly Taitz. She has really been, in my opinion, I said it before, and now it's just coming forth that she is really out there to hurt the movement. I don't know what her intentions are. I don't know who's paying her. I don't think she's just that inept. I'm not sure what's going on, but the Georgia federal judge in Georgia dismissed her case on behalf of another military person who was trying to say that they're conscientious objector because they're not sure of the status of the president. Well, once you put conscientious objector down, the military will immediately change their status anyhow because they don't want someone in a war zone which could end up affecting the men and women there with the intentions to fight the battle. That's where you get into situations of friendly fire and other crisis situations. So that's why the judge really chastised Ms. Taitz for this is the second suit she just filed. And on this particular suit, it was filed first in Texas, who threw it out. Then it got to Georgia because that was the send-off point, I believe, and it came to the same judge that threw a case out of hers like a few weeks or a month ago. And I'm not sure if you've read it. And, again, I don't like to come up with bad stuff, but I'm trying to get people in line and widen the horizons on this, get more and more people involved. But now the Orly Taitz has a case out in California, which there's just been a fight because Gary Krepp, K-R-E-E-P, has taken over for 2 of the plaintiffs in that case. But now it comes out that at a hearing, which was going to be last week, 2 potential witnesses for Orly Taitz have publicly come out and stated that they couldn't deal with her anymore because she has actually asked them to lie under oath in that case. And there's articles about that. And I'm glad. Excuse me. I'm glad these people are speaking up. One is Larry Sinclair. Another one is Lucas Smith. And we can't have that kind of thing here. I don't know the intentions of her, but I know people have filed complaints against her to the state bar in California. But more important, that's why people should stay away from her and should stay on our thing, Obama Crimes. As you mentioned, we have 3 cases pending. One, we're getting closer on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals in Philadelphia for October 26th. That's the argument on the case that I originally filed before the Democratic National Convention last year, and the judge dismissed my case on standing. And as stated before, if the judge basically said, I don't have standing, Webster doesn't have standing, none of your listeners have standing, no one has standing, and perhaps in the future the Congress can decide who should have standing to attack the Constitution. It's just wrong. It's blatantly wrong. Under the 10th Amendment, everything reverts back to we the people if it's not conferred elsewhere on the Constitution. So I believe we have a solid case there. I'm not sure if the Third Circuit's got guts enough to deal with this. We're dealing with some, there are heavy issues here. It's a sad state of affairs, and but the thing is, if you think about it, and if all your listeners will just think for one moment, the reason we're doing this is because Obama has not been honest to the electorate in this country. He's not been honest to the people of this country. He will not divulge any information about himself. The other day was Constitution Day, the 222nd anniversary of the signing of the U.S. Constitution, and I basically said that it's shame on Obama on the anniversary for not living up to the Constitution. The Constitution requirement for president is only 3 requirements. 1, be 35 years of age. Number 2, live in this country for 14 years. And number 3, be a natural-born citizen, which is our claim that Obama is not. But also it's interesting, someone raised the question to me a few weeks ago, how do we really know his birth date is August 4th, 1961? Because we don't have any documentation on anything about this person.
Hey, right, you've got to be 35 years old to be president, right?
That's right.
And we don't know.
We really don't know. I mean, because nothing has, I mean, think about it. Nothing has been put forth except that phony document which they put on their website in June of 2008, which they keep referring to as a birth certificate, but it's not a birth certificate. But so I have that one case on standing. We have the case with Hollister, the retired Air Force colonel, which is on appeal to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. But the other case, and we checked with the judge's office, they're aware that we're waiting for a hearing, and I think I put the judge in a very precarious position. This is the case which was filed originally under seal, and when it was filed under seal, it was not because it was anything special with Obama, but all that type cases are put under seal. They're usually Medicaid or Medicare fraud. And what happens is you don't notify the party, you notify the Justice Department, the Attorney General's office, and they look at it and they decide either to handle the case themselves, give it to the person who's brought forth the case, which is called the relator, in this case me, or 3, dismiss the case. Well, very few of those cases are dismissed, but they put us in the dismissal case, and I don't think it's right because I'm alleging that Barack Obama, when he came back from Indonesia, never went through immigration. Since he became a natural-born because of the adoption in Indonesia, when he came back, if he didn't go through immigration, he's an illegal alien. Not only can he not be president, but his term as a U.S. Senator was fraudulent. Therefore, all money and benefit that went to him during the U.S. Senate race, totaling over $1 million, should go back to the U.S. Treasury. I think it's a very valid point. So after the judge dismissed our case, we filed a motion for reconsideration, and we dug further. We found a statute called conflict of interest. And if there ever was a conflict of interest, it's Eric Holder. He is the Attorney General. Now, his underlings say, well, he has nothing to do with the case. Well, if the case is assigned to the U.S. Attorney General's office and the Department of Justice, it does fall under Holder.
Of course.
And there's a conflict of interest because, number 1, he was on Obama's campaign committee. Number 2, he was one of 3 individuals on the committee to select the vice president, which selected Biden. Number 3, he was appointed and confirmed as the Attorney General, which is the highest law enforcement officer in the country, who also gives advice to the president. So if that's not a conflict of interest, so that's what we raised there, and then we asked the court to make a decision on that. And I think I have the court cornered because whereas the judge said they weren't allowed to discuss the issue on the Qui Tem or False Claim Act because of D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, I've now raised this other issue, which I think comes secondary, or actually primary on this, and we asked that either the Attorney General let me proceed with the case or appoint a special prosecutor. And now, interesting, if everyone's been watching, in the past month he appointed a special prosecutor to look in action to the CIA during the Bush administration. So if he could do that because they say he's Mr. Independent, I sort of cornered, I believe, the Attorney General that if he doesn't do it, it's just that direct evidence that he does not want to prosecute his boss, the President of the United States. So we're waiting for the judge to come up with a hearing. When we do, I'm going to let you know, and so your listeners hopefully will pack the courtroom in Washington, D.C.
But in the meantime, it's October 26th in Philadelphia, and you can tell us what time of day when you find that out, okay?
I sure will, and people, please go to ObamaCrimes.com, spread it to other people, and if you can make a contribution, this is now our 14th month of proceeding.
Wonderful. More power to you, Phil. Hang in there, and we'll be back in just a minute.